Escape the wrath to come by valuing Yah's rescue. Your life depends on it. Let us pray. Ab Yahuwah, through our Mashiach, our elder brother Yahusha, we come before you on this Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom to you in the Shamayim above, with all of the messengers surrounding your grand and high esteemed throne in excellence and brilliance and magnificence in a majestic way. We bow down and honor you, Yahuwah, and we allow the message to come through in the reading of your word, your dabar, in righteousness and truth, through the blood of our Mashiach over us as we forgive and are forgiven. Thank you, Abba Yahuwah, for this wonderful day of rest, Shabbat, in your Sham, Yahuwah. Todah, thank you, Selah. Let us begin the reading with Yashayahu chapter 42, verses 1 through 21. See, my servant, whom I uphold, my chosen one, my being has delighted in. I have put my rook upon him. He brings forth right ruling to the nations. He does not cry out, nor lift up his voice, nor causes his voice to be heard in the street. A crushed reed he does not break, and smoking flax he does not quench. He brings forth right ruling in accordance with truth. He does not become weak or crushed until he has established right ruling in the earth, and the coastlands wait for his Torah. Thus says Alua Yahuwah, who created the Shamayim, the heavens, and stretched them out, who spread forth the earth, and that what comes from it, who gives breath to the people on it, and Ruach, spirit, to those who walk on it. I, Yahuwah, have called you in righteousness, and I strengthen your hand and guard you, and give you for a covenant and a briath to a people, for a light to the nations, to open blind eyes, to bring out prisoners from the prison, those who sit in darkness from the prison house. I am Yahuwah, that is my name, and my esteem I do not give to another, nor my praise to idols. See, the former predictions have come, and new ones I am declaring. Before they spring forth, I let you hear them. Sing to Yahuwah, and we certainly will do that by playing some songs in this post. Sing to Yahuwah a new song, his praise from the ends of the earth. You who go down to the sea and all that is in it, you coastlands and you inhabitants of them. Let the wilderness and its cities lift up their voice, the villages where Kedar dwells. Let the inhabitants of Selah sing. Let them shout from the top of the mountains. Let them give esteem to Yahuwah and declare his praise in the coastlands. Yahuwah goes forth like a mighty man. He stirs up our door like a fighter. He cries out, yes, shout aloud. Over his enemies, he shows himself mighty. I have kept silent from of old. I have been still and held myself back. Like a woman in labor, I now cry out. I pant and gasp at once. I lay waste mountains and hills, and I dry up all their plants, and I shall make rivers become coastlands, and I dry up pools, and I shall lead the blind by a way they have not known. In paths they have not known, I lead them. I make darkness light before them, and crooked places straight. These matters I shall do for them, and I shall not forsake them. Those who trust in idols, who say to the molded images, you are our mighty ones, shall be turned back, utterly ashamed. Hear you deaf, and look you blind, and see. Who is blind but my servant, or deaf as my messenger whom I send? Who is blind as he who is at Shalom, peace, and blind as servant of Yahuwah? You see much, but do not guard. Ears are open, but do not hear. It has delighted Yahuwah for the sake of his righteousness to make the Torah great and esteemed. Do you hear that? His Torah, let me read that again in verse 21. It has delighted Yahuwah for the sake of his righteousness to make the Torah great and esteemed. So there's no question now about his Torah. The books we commonly know as Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Deuteronomy, and Numbers. That's the entirety of his Torah. Not simply just the 10 commandments in Exodus 20 and Deuteronomy 5. He has instructions that have to be put forth on the earth. And Yahusha came to magnify. He explained the Torah to his 12 followers. Now we're going to go to Yashayahu. That was Yashayahu, Isaiah 42. We're going to go to chapter 10. Now we're reading this because in the first Exodus, the children of Yasharal, they did not value his Torah. We don't want to make that mistake again in these last days, whether we are a part of the second Exodus or the ones coming after us are a part of the second Exodus. But we have to learn this lesson even before the second Exodus, that we value that his directives, his instructions, because he has a right to instruct us. He has a right to guide us. We must listen to him and we must obey and we must act in obedience. To act in obedience is every seventh day. This is one example, is to observe the Shabbat. To act in obedience is to forgive our brother and our sister of Yasharal who have trespassed against us. And even Yahusha said to forgive our enemies, those who harm us. For even as we became enemies as he was hanging on that tree, he cried out and he said, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And we paid a very heavy price for that, generation after generation. And we have gone through the last 400 years of enslavement. And although the way of enslavement is not, our recompense is not to get a better job, to have a bit bigger house, but to prepare. Yes, if you have those things, that's fine and dandy, because even Abraham was rich. All right? Even Joseph was rich. So I do not deny you of the work that you've put forth to have the substance that you own right now. But whether poor, middle class, or rich, or highly rich, we all, if we want to be rescued, if we want to fulfill that the Shamayim and the earth become one, we have to repent. We have to follow his ways before that time comes, before some of us are allowed as the remnant to be rescued. Now we're going to read in Yashayahu chapter 10. We're only going to read a few verses in verses 20 to 25. And in that day, it shall be that the remnant, so he's saving a remnant, those who will listen. It's such that we have had a history that it's only been a remnant. Who was the remnant in the flood? Wasn't it Noah and his 3 sons and wives and his wife? Who was the remnant in the Exodus? Wasn't it Caleb and Yahusha, who we call Joshua? And then those who were in the actual rescue, they were wandered for 40 years until they all died. And under Joshua, Yahusha, and Caleb, their children entered the promised land. So it's not a matter of being older and wiser. It's a matter of obedience. Those who will obey. And if you're not teaching your children and your children's children to obey, you will not enter that promised land. And I pray for children, regardless of their parents, grandchildren, regardless of their parents and their grandparents, to obey. And Yahuwah is certainly our father, our Abba, and Yahusha, our elder brother. So regardless of what family members do or do not do, we as individuals must obey. So in that day, it shall be that the remnant of Yasharal, of Israel, and those who have escaped of the house of Jacob, of Jacob, never again lean upon him who struck them. So right now, we are in the 4 corners of the earth, and we are subject to the governments of this earth. But we look for the reign, the rightful reign of Yahuwah, who created the earth with Yahusha, who was the word of Yahuwah, who manifested in the flesh 2,000 years ago, again, who was laid up and raised up on a tree, died and was resurrected after 3 days and 3 nights. Our rescuer comes to fulfill what has not been fulfilled in 6,000 years, the totality of the reign of Yahuwah, and having to rescue the people scattered in the 4 corners of the earth for a second time. And this is a greater time. Never again lean upon him who struck him, but shall lean upon Yahuwah, the placed apart, the separated one of Yasharal in truth. A remnant shall return, the remnant of Yaqub, to the mighty Al. For though your people, O Yasharal, be as the sand of the sea, yet a remnant of them shall return. A decisive end, overflowing with righteousness. For the Master Yahuwah of hosts is making a complete end, decided in the midst of all the earth. Therefore, thus says the Master Yahuwah of hosts, my people who dwell in Sion, be not afraid of Ashur. That's one of the rulers over us, the nations over us, who struck you with a rod and lifts up his staff against you in the way of Mitzrayim, like Egypt did. For yet a little while, and the displeasure shall be completed, meaning it shall end, and my displeasure be to their destruction. So he will recompense us. Now we're going to read Zechariah chapter 10, verses 6 through 12. Okay. Have to find this. Okay, I had it here. Just bear with me. I'm gonna look at the beginning to see what page. I didn't mark it, but this is a good pause. There's a lot of information I gave there. Zechariah. commonly known as Zechariah. And my scripture is on page 635. So we're going to go there. Thank you for your patience, your long suffering. Zechariah chapter 10, verses 6 through 12. And I shall make the house of Yehuda mighty, and save the house of Yaaseph, Joseph, and I shall bring them back, because I have compassion on them, and they shall be as though I had not pushed them aside. It's going to be as if this never happened to us, that we were scattered in the four corners. For I am Yahuwah, their Elohim, and I answer them. And Ephraim shall be as a mighty man, and their heart shall ashar rejoice as if with wine, and their children shall see and ashar rejoice, their heart exulting in Yahuwah. I shall whistle for them and gather them, for I shall ransom them, and they shall increase as they once increased. Though I sow them among peoples, they shall remember me in places far away. Yes, we are certainly far away from Jerusalem. And they shall live, they shall have high, together with their children, and they shall return. And I shall bring them back from the land of Mitzrayim. We're in modern Egypt now, modern Babylon. And I shall bring that back from the land of Egypt, and gather them from Ashur, and bring them into the land of Gilead and Lebanon, until no more room is found for them. And he shall pass through the sea of distress, and strike the waves of the sea, and all the depths of the river shall dry up. Doesn't it sound like the first Exodus, where the Sea of Reeds dried up, what they call the Red Sea? And the pride of Ashur shall be brought down, and the scepter, the rulership of Mitzrayim, Egypt, be taken away. And I shall make them mighty in Yahuwah, so that they walk up and down in his name, declares Yahuwah. This is Yahuwah declaring this. This is what he's going to do. Now, we often hear about Esau, and we often hear that Esau is the end of the world. And we have to understand why. In Genesis, Bereshith chapter 25, we often hear of, I'm trying to get to it, bear with me. Thank you for your forbearance, your long suffering. I don't like to say the word patience, because that's the name of a deity. So instead of saying patience, I'm going to say forbearance. In the end of chapter 25, we read about Esau. And Esau, chapter 30, said to Yaakov, please feed me with the same red stew. They say that it's a lentil stew, for I am weary. That is why his name was called Edom, Edom. But Yaakov said, sell me your birthright today. And Esau said, look, I'm going to die, so why should I have a birthright? Then Yaakov said, swear to me today. And he swore to him and sold his birthright to Yaakov. Yaakov then gave Esau bread and a stew of lentils. There it is. He gave him not only lentils, bread and a stew of lentils, and he ate and he drank. So obviously he gave him something to drink, and rose up and left. Thus Esau despised his birthright. Now, this is simply a summary of what happened, right? And we're going to find the full story in the scroll of Yashar. Now, Hallelujah Scriptures has compacted various scrolls, or we call books, and this is Yashar. You can easily find them online to get a copy for yourself. Now, for context, we're going to go to Genesis or Bereshith chapter 26, and we're going to continue on from 1 through 6. And there was a scarcity of food in the land, besides the first scarcity of food that was in the days of Abraham. And Isaac went to Abimelech, sovereign of the Philistines in Gerar. And Yahuwah approached to him and said, "Do not go down to Mitzrayim, to Egypt. Live in the land that I commanded you. Dwell in this land, and I shall be with you and baruch you. For I give all these lands to you and your seed." So we don't quite know what those lands are today, but this is another promise. "And I shall establish the oath, the covenant, the agreement, the abrayath, that I swore to Abraham your father," your Abba. "And I shall increase your seed like the stars of the heavens," the Shamayim. "And I shall give all these lands to your seed. And in your seed all the nations of the earth shall be blessed." Baruch. Because, this is what Yahuwah said to Isaac, Yishak, "Abraham obeyed my voice and guarded my charge, my commands, my Torah laws, instructions, and my Torah laws and my Torah. And Yishak dwelt in Gerar, Gerar. Now that's interesting to me, that land where Yishak dwelt, because my dad, who passed away this year, his name was Gerard. So minus the D is Gerar, and my dad's name was Gerard. So I find that interesting that was pointed out to me. So we're going to go to Yashar to get the full aspect of what happened with Esau and how he despised his birthright. What came to be? We're going to sort of read things backwards. We're going to read chapter 28, and then we're going to read chapter 27. Chapter 28, verses 18 to 29. This is all going to tie in. You're going to see it very soon. But before we read, we just read about Abraham. So if Abraham obeyed the charge of Yahuwah, what do you think we're supposed to do? Abraham does not obey on our behalf. Just like Yahusha does not obey on our behalf, we must too obey, because we follow Yahusha, and then because we're the seed of Abraham, we have to do as Abraham did. We don't just, it's not an automatic blessing or automatic inheritance because we take on the name. So we're going to see, even though Esau was Jacob's brother, Esau did something unlike Jacob. Let's read Yashar chapter 28, beginning in verse 18. "And at that time, Yishak, Isaac, sent his youngest son Jacob, Jacob, to the house of Shem, to the house of Shem and Eber. And he learned the Torah, the instructions, the directions, the law of Yahuwah." So we must learn the law as well, the Torah. "And Jacob remained in the house of Shem and Eber for 32 years. Now that's something that most people don't bring out. Jacob, was there for 32 years learning the law, the Torah of Creator Yahuwah. But Esau, his brother, did not go. So we can understand he did not go. It could be that there was an invitation extended to him because he was the firstborn. It just says he did not go. So that could imply that it was an invitation given to him as well. And Yaqub listened to his father and went to the house of Shem, Eber, and learned the Torah. For Esau, his brother, did not go, for he was not willing to go, and he remained in his father's house in the land of Canaan, and Esau was continually hunting in the fields to bring home what he could get. So Esau did all the day. So this is what he did. This is what he consumed his time with. Now, here we're going to read an aspect of Esau's character. And Esau was crafty and deceitful, a deceitful man, one who hunted after the hearts of men and persuaded them. And Esau was a mighty man of the field, and in the course of time went as usual to hunt, and he came as far as the field of Seir, the same as Edom. And he remained in the land of Seir, hunting in the field 1 year and 4 months. And Esau saw there in the land of Seir the daughter of a man of Canaan. So he married one of the Canaanites. It was said often not to marry or intermarry. That was part of the Torah. And her name was Yehudith, and the daughter of Beri, son of Epher, from the clans of Heth, son of Canaan. And Esau took her for a wife, and he came to her. Esau was 40 years old when he took her, and he brought her to Hebron. Remember Hebron, when I did the testaments of the patriarchs, they were all buried. They all wanted to be buried in Hebron. And he brought her to Hebron, the land of his father's dwelling place, and he dwelt there. And it came to be in those days, in the 110th of the life of Yishak, Isaac, that in the 50th year of the life of Yaqub, in that year Shem, son of Noah, died. So Shem, where Yaqub was sent, he died at that time. So he lived a long time. Shem was 600 years old at his death. So in the reading of scripture, the regular scriptures, the regular canon, you don't see that they were overlapping and living to see. So he saw Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Esau. And he even taught Jacob, Yaqub. And when Shem died, Yaqub returned to his father at Hebron. So that was Isaac, which is in the land of Canaan. And in the 56th year of the life of Yaqub, people came from Haran, and Rivkah was told concerning her brother Laban. Now Rebekah, is Isaac's wife, son of Bethuel, told concerning her Laban. So Laban was Rivkah's brother. And remember, later Jacob went to Laban's house, and we'll see. For the wife of Laban was barren in those days and bore no children, and also all his female servants bore none to him. And Yahuwah afterward remembered Adinah, the wife of Laban, and she conceived and bore twin daughters. And Laban called the name of his daughters the name of the elder Leah, and the name of the younger Rachel, who we call Leah and Rachel. And those people came out and told these matters to Ribkah, and Ribkah rejoiced, assured greatly that Yahuwah, or Ribkah, and those people came and told those matters to Rebekah, and Rebekah rejoiced, assured greatly that Yahuwah had visited her brother and that he had gained children. So to summarize, we see that in Genesis later that Ribkah was upset that her son Esau had married of the Canaanites, and she didn't want Jacob. So that's why Jacob was sent to Laban's house. So they wanted to make sure that Jacob did not be rebellious as Esau in finding a wife. Now, let's say if Esau wasn't rebellious, there were two women there. So probably one of them would have been for, and they were twins. It doesn't say that in Genesis. One of them would have been for Leah, and the other one would have taken her sister. So you miss opportunities being disobedient. Rachel, sorry, I had a mind. Now we're going to go to chapter 27. And after we read this chapter 27, we're going to have a break. We're going to play a song. So I'm going to put it on pause and we're going to play a song. But let's get through this chapter to get the fullness of what really happened with Esau. So we can't blame Jacob for tricking his brother. We're going to see why Esau was tired and why he came famished and hungry. This is the backstory to Jacob, who was later changed, supplanter. His name was Supplanter. He was later, his name was later changed to Yasharal, Israel, as we commonly know, but Yasharal is cleaner. Chapter 27, verse 1 through 14 of Yashar. And at that time, after the death of Abraham, Esau frequently went to the field to hunt. So after Abraham's death, and Nimrod, sovereign of Babel, the same was Amraphel, also frequently went with his mighty men to hunt in the field and to walk about with his men in the cool of the day. And Nimrod was observing Esau all the days, for a jealousy was formed in the heart of Nimrod against Esau all the days. And on a certain day, Esau went in the field to hunt, and he found Nimrod walking in the wilderness with his two men. And all his mighty men and his people were with him in the wilderness, but they turned back at a distance from him. And they went from him in different directions to hunt. And Esau concealed himself from Nimrod, and he lay in wait for him in the wilderness. And Nimrod and his men that were with him did not know him. And Nimrod and his men frequently walked about in the field at the cool of the day, and to know where his men were hunting in the field. And Nimrod and two of his men that were with him came to the place where they were, when Esau leaped. He jumped, leaped suddenly from his ambush, and drew his sword, and hastened and ran to Nimrod, and off was his head. And Esau fought a desperate fight against the two men that were with Nimrod, And when they called out to him, Esau turned to them and smote them to death with his sword. And all the mighty men of Nimrod who had left him to go to the wilderness heard the cry at a distance, and they knew the voices of those two men, and they ran to know the cause of it. Whereupon they found their sovereign and the two men that were with him lying unalived in the wilderness. And when Esau saw the mighty men of Nimrod coming at a distance, he fled. So he ran for his life and thereby escaped. And Esau took the valuable garments of Nimrod that Nimrod's father had bequeathed to Nimrod, and with what Nimrod prevailed over the whole land. And he ran and concealed them in his house. So if you know Nimrod had stolen, I believe, the garment of Noah. Oh, no, actually, the vestment, I think it was a vestment that Noah had that was passed down. That's why he has so much power. And Esau took those garments and ran into the city because of, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. And Esau took those garments and ran into the city because of Nimrod's men. And he came to his father's house wearied and exhausted from the fight. And he was ready to die through grief when he approached his brother Yaqub and sat before him. And he cried to his brother Yaqub. So he was tired. He had this fight. He unalived 3 people. He was running from his life because he saw a group of men coming to see what had happened to Nimrod. Look, I shall die this day. And why then do I want the birthright? So he was probably out of breath. He was running so hard that it strained his body. And then he didn't think nothing of his birthright. So he was the one that propositioned Yaqub. And Yaqub acted wisely with Hakmah, with Esau in this matter. And Esau sold his birthright to Yaqub, for it was brought about by Yahuwah. Let's read this again. For it was so brought about by Yahuwah. And probably why? Yahuwah was observing what was going on. It was Jacob, Yaqub, who went and learned of Yahuwah's Torah, his commands. Yahuwah is very particular. You're not going to be rescued. You're not going to be in promotion if you don't listen and learn of his ways and be educated of his ways. I mean, do you expect to get a degree in this world from any school, whether it's a master's or a regular baccalaureate or your master's degree, or I'm sorry, I meant to say PhD degree, or do you seek to get a promotion from work if you don't put in some study time to learn the instructions, the guidelines of your workplace? Do you expect a promotion if you don't? Well, it's the same thing with the ring, the kingdom of Yahuwah. You must learn of Yahuwah's ways to enter it. Joshua, Yahusha, and Caleb learned of Yahuwah's ways through Musha, who we call Moses. And Esau's portion in the cave of the field of Machpelah, that Abraham had brought from the children of Heth for the possession of a burial ground, Esau also sold it to Yaqub. And Yaqub brought all this from his brother Esau for value given. And Yaqub wrote the whole of this in a book, a scroll, and he witnessed the same with witnesses, and he sealed it, and the book remained in the hands of Yaqub. So the contract, you want to sell your birthright? We're going to pause now and we're going to listen to a song. Fair use of music from Sharika Zion. Wade in the water. Yausha walks through the water. Sharika Zion on Instagram.
Wade in the water. Wade in the water, children. Wade in the water. Yahusha's walking through the water. Chains on my hands, night closing in. Pharaoh still chasing, steeped in sin, but the Lamb split Jordan, made a freedom path. Blood on the doorway broke the captor's wrath. Wade in the water, wade in the water, children. Wade in the water, Yahusha's troubling the water. Cloud by day and a fire by night, he leads his remnant past the slave catcher's sight. Voice in the river says, cross on through. Waters rise high, but they won't touch you. Wade in the water, wade in the water, children. Wade in the water, Yahusha's walking through the water. If the hounds behind you howl with fear, keep your eyes on Zion, the promise is near. The Lion of Judah is stirring the stream. Every chain breaks where the living waters gleam. Who walks the flood and calms the tide? Yahusha, Yahusha. Who bears the stripes and lifts the bride? Yahusha, Yahusha. Who crowns the meek and shames the proud? Yahusha, Yahusha. Sing his name, saints, shout it loud. Yahusha, Yahusha. Wade in the water, wade in the water, children. Wade in the water, Yahusha's walking through the water. Wade on through the promised shore. Yahusha's walking through the water.
So we see that Esau did not value instructions of Yahuwah. He did not value his birthright as the firstborn. And we should value the deliverance to come, the second Exodus, because our lives, our high, depends on it. We're going to briefly go to Yashayahu, Isaiah verses 29, verses 19 to segue and to become before Yahusha's feet and learn from him. We have words that Yahusha stated while on this earth to further explain the Torah of Yahuwah, how we ought to be in order to inherit these promises. We read in Yeshayahu chapter 29, verse 19. And the meek ones shall increase their joy, ashar, in Yahuwah, and the poor among men, ashar, in the separated one of Yasha'al. We're going to try to move more quickly as before to Matthew chapter 5. And we're going to sit at the Master's feet on this Shabbat and read the 29th of November, 2025, what our master teacher, Yahusha, states. But when he saw the crowds, he went up on a mountain. And when he was seated, his taught ones came to him, and having opened his mouth, he was teaching them, saying, Baruch are the poor in Ruch, because theirs is the reign of the Shamayim. Baruch are those who mourn, because they shall be comforted. Baruch are the meek, because they shall inherit the earth. Baruch are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. Now, didn't we see Jacob hunger and thirst for righteousness? 32 years learning and being instructed. 32 years being instructed in the house of Shem, Eber. Baruch are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, because they shall be filled. They shall be filled. They shall be nourished. They shall be filled, nourished in the word. Baruch are the compassionate, because they shall obtain compassion. Baruch are the clean in heart, because they shall see Elohim. Baruch are the shalom makers, because they will be called the bonds of Elohim. Baruch are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, because theirs is the reign of the Shamayim. Baruch are you when they reproach and persecute you, and falsely say every wicked word against you for my sake. Ashar, and be glad, because your reward in the Shamayim is great. For in the same way they persecuted the Nebiim, the prophets, who were before you. You are the salt of the earth, but if the salt becomes tasteless, how shall it be seasoned? For it is no longer of any use, but to be thrown out and to be trodden down by men. You are the light of the world. It is impossible for a city to be hidden on a mountain, nor do they light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a lampstand, and it shines to all those in the house. Let your light so shine before men, so that they see your acceptable works and praise your Abba who is in the Shamayim. They praise Yahuwah, right? Do you not think that I came to destroy the Torah or the prophets and the Nebiim? He did not came the same way Jacob or Jacob was instructed in the Torah. We have to be instructed too. But to complete all that is asked of us, to complete the assignments. For truly I say to you, till the Shamayim and the earth pass away, one yod or one tittle shall by no means. That's an expression of the writing, like the yod and the tittle is like markings in the written word, in the written ancient letters, the lettering system. Shall by no means pass. That's important when they're writing in written, like like you dot your I's and you cross your T's. By no means pass from the Torah till all is done, all be done. Whoever then breaks one of the least of these commands and teaches men so shall be called least in the reign of the Shamayim. But whoever does and teaches them, he shall be called great in the reign of the Shamayim. For I say to you that unless your righteousness exceeds that of the scribes and the Pharisees, you shall by no means enter into the reign of the Shamayim. And he goes to expound on the Torah, like the commandments. I'm just going to read one, but you can read the rest of the chapter on your own. I'm sure you've read it before, but this is just a refresher. You had heard, this is what Yahusha said. You heard that it was said, this is one of the 10 commandments, you shall not murder, right? We all know that. Thou shalt not murder. And whoever murders shall be liable in judgment, to be judged, right? But I say to you that whoever is wroth, angry with his brother without a cause, you're just angry for no reason, shall be liable in judgment. Whoever says to his brother, Raka, like, you're fool, you're nothing, like your nothingness, shall be liable to the Sanhedrin. But whoever says, you fool shall be liable in the fire of Gehenna. Wow. If then you bring your gift to the slaughter place and there remember that your brother holds whatever against you, like if you've done your brother wrong, leave your gift from before the slaughter place and go first make shalom with your brother and then come and offer your gift. Be well-minded with your opponent, your enemy, promptly while you are on the way with him, lest your opponent deliver you to the judge and the judge to the officer and you be thrown into prison. So just be well-minded to those who oppose you. Try to be well-minded. I'm not saying you let people walk all over you. So that's another aspect. You should not think evil against someone. Now we're going to go back, and that is how I would think Yahuwah thought of us in the first Exodus, of our ancestors that survive, that they were thinking evil of Yahuwah, Creator, after he had rescued them and delivered them out of the first Egypt, because they were in the wilderness. I mean, he's the creator of everything. He can rebuild cities, rebuild homes, cleanse the earth so that you can have food and meat if you need meat. And they didn't think about him in that way. They forgot that there was a creator that had created all these things for them. So all they thought that everything was established, like in our modern time. We have a lot of modern things going on here, and we think it's all established, like it can't be duplicated or it can't be upgraded in Yah's reign. Think of one convenience that we have, the washing machine. You think we're going to have washing machines in the wilderness? You think we're going to have cars to drive around in the wilderness? There's so many other things. We have to be careful because we're in this modern age. And being in a wilderness setting, let's think of it as going camping. For however long Yahuwah is going to have us there, we're going to be protected when all this evil is going on. And it's not going to be tolerated. It's not going to be tolerated if we complain or if we are not appreciative, because our lives are very high. Eternal high is going to depend on it. Living forever is going to depend on it. It's not going to be easy. Let's go to Numbers chapter 11, verse 1. This is what I was trying to find while I was speaking. Let's learn this lesson. And it came to be, when the people were as complainers, it was evil in the ears of Yahuwah, and Yahuwah heard it. And his displeasure burned. And the fire of Yahuwah burned among them and consumed them, those in the outskirts of the camp. And the people cried out to Moses, and Moshe prayed to Yahuwah, and the fire died down. So you don't want a fire against us. We're going to end with a recent song, Fair Use of Music Esteem Mix, Shaka and Yada Flow, Miss Atisha, Atysh, Ya, YANA, apostrophe A, Yana, Yahoo, YAHU. You're going to really ahab this song, Fair Use. This song is based on the Beatitudes, Matthew 5, that we just read. The song is about close to a week old, and I'm glad I discovered it. Fair use of music. I'm sorry, it's the wrong one. It went to the first song. Hold on. Here we go. It keeps going to that song, excuse me. That's not the song, sorry. I'm trying to get it to the first. So it's a series of songs. It's gonna come up next. Hold on. So I'm gonna let the song before it play. I don't know why it's doing that. Hold on, sorry. Here it is. Baruch, the Beatitudes.
Baruch Ava Korin, heirs of the kingdom of Yahoo. Baruch they who mourn, comfort comes from Elohim alone. Baruch the meek shall rise, they will inherit the earth in time. And those who hunger thirst to be right, they shall be filled with the light. They shall be filled. They shall be filled. Oh, God, the merciful heart, mercy returns like a river that starts. Baruch, the pure in soul, they will see Elohim, that is their goal. Baruch, the peacemakers call, they'll be called children of Yahuwah above all. Baruch, the persecuted press for righteousness' sake, and now but they rest. Rejoice and be glad, oh be glad, your one is great above. For so they hated the prophets before, but they walked in Yahuwah's love. Rejoice and be glad, yeah, rejoice. You are the sawdust first, but if that sawdust has lost its worth, it's cast away, trampled down, no longer bearing that righteous crown. You are the light in the dark, a city on a hill, you're setting the mark, so let your light so brightly shine that all may see Yahuwah divine. No one lights a lamp just to hide it away, lift it high, let it shine every single day. It gives light to all in the house, so don't let it ever burn out. Shine for Yahuwah, stand forever. Think not I came to destroy, tore the prophets, that joy I came to fulfill, not to erase. Every word still stands in place, till the heavens and earth pass away. Not one yard, not one tittle will stray. He who breaks the least command and teaches others to do the same shall be called least in the kingdom of Yahuwah. But those who do and teach, who guard the word and practice what they preach, who walk upright in truth and light, standing with the lead day and night, they shall be filled. They shall be filled. Baruch are the merciful hearts, mercy returns like a river that starts. Baruch the pure in soul, they will see Elohim, that is their goal. Rejoice, and be glad, yeah, rejoice, and be glad.
Wasn't that beautiful? The song is even in 2 weeks old. I also wanted to point out, if you're having difficulty with the Sabbath, Shabbat, if you read Jubilees, from Hallelujah Scriptures, they have a booklet, and expounding on the Shabbat, the Sabbath, in chapter 50, this is why they took these books out. If you were wondering why certain things are done and not done in the Shabbat, it's because it's expounded. Musha expounded on it. 6 days. Chapter 50 of Jubilees. 6 days you shall labor, but on the 7th day is a Shabbat of Yahuwah, your Elohim. In it you shall do no manner of work, you and your sons and your male servants and your female servants, your workers, and all your cattle, and the sojourner also who is with you. And the man that does any work on it shall die. Whoever profanes that day, whoever lies with his wife, or whoever says he shall do whatever on it, that he shall depart on a journey thereon in regards to any buying or selling. So we're not supposed to make purchases. And whoever draws water thereon, that's heavy toil to try to get water. But, we have faucets now. We don't have to. It's not a labor. It's not laborious to get water now. Who draws water thereon that he had not prepared for himself on the 6th day. And whoever takes up any burden to carry it out of, his tent or out of the house shall die. You shall do no work whatever on the Shabbat day, except what you have prepared for yourselves on the 6th day, so as to eat and drink and rest, and to guard the Shabbat from all work on that day, and to Barak Yahuwah, your Elohim, who has given you a day of feast, a feast day, and a Kadash day, and a day of the Kadash rain. For all Yasharel is this day among their days forever. So the Shabbat is forever. Now, dropping down to verse 12, and every man who does any work therein, or goes on a journey, or tills the fields. You're not supposed to till the field, whether in his house or any other place, and whoever lights a fire. So going out and gathering firewood, and it's laborious, it's tiresome to do that. So lighting a fire, like remember in Exodus, that man that went and was gathering sticks on the Sabbath, he went out of his tent. He wasn't supposed to do that. Who lights a fire or rides on any beast. So we're not even supposed to ride on a horse. So what beast we usually ride on? We usually ride on a horse. Some places they ride on a elephant. A donkey. I don't know what other beast we would ride. A horse, a donkey, or an elephant. Or travels by ship. We're not even supposed to go on a ship. On the sea. And whoever smites or kills whatever. So we're not even supposed to slaughter animals on the Sabbath. Or slaughters a beast or a bird, or whoever catches an animal or a bird or a fish, or whoever fasts, or goes to battle on the Shabbatos. The man who does any of these matters on the Shabbat shall die, so that the children of Yasharel shall observe the Shabbatot according to the commands regarding the Shabbatot of the land. And it is written in the tablets that he gave to my hands, and I should write out for you the Torah laws of the seasons, and the seasons according to the division of their days. So he even gave a calendar that we've lost. This is completed, the account of the division of the days. So I would read Jubilees, I would read Exodus, I would read Leviticus and Numbers to get further instruction. I thank you, Abba Yahuwah, for this message that you prepared for me to provide. I pray that the people understand and follow your ways, your direct, your narrow path to be the remnant in these last days. Shabbat Shalom, in the name of Yahusha, I pray, Selah. Thank you for listening. I pray that you go and find this song called Esteem Mix, Shaka and Yada Flow by Miss Atisha. It's certainly on YouTube. There are other songs that you can listen to. And this was wonderful. I really appreciated the time here with you. And I really ahab you all. I really do. I really love doing this. I really ahab Yahuwah, my creator, and Yahusha. And I pray that we are all in the wilderness soon. If not, that we prepare the next generation or the generation that's coming up for them to be there. I pray that you all have a wonderful, prosperous week and you are doing well. Shalom.